The gates is opening at 3 o'clock, at 4 at the morning.
So, to rewind of how we ended up in Turkmenistan, me and my dad, we decided to drive from the Netherlands to India. In this episode, we just crossed the Turkmenistan border, we're heading to Ashgabat, staying there overnight, then the next day driving to Darwaza, overnighting there again, and exploring the Konya Urgench before leaving to Uzbekistan, more specifically Nukus. First things first, we crossed the border between Turkmenistan and Iran. For more info on that procedure, you can view our previous video. But for now, we're through the border and driving behind our tour guide towards the city of Ashgabat. No less than 1 kilometer from the border, we saw a herd of Persian ibexes crossing the street. Luckily, we could snap a picture of one of them. It was quite amazing and actually surreal driving through the gates of Ashgabat for the first time. Just seeing buildings only made out of marble, and we couldn't wait to explore more of what Ashgabat had to offer. At this point, it was around 7:30 p.m. The awe of the marble city wore off, as it seemed that we were leaving Ashgabat. My father and I looked at each other puzzled, but we kept driving behind our tour guide. After another 20 minutes, passing what seemed like residential apartments, we came to an overnight truck park. Our tour guide stepped out of the minibus. "Time to park your car here," he said. More puzzled faces. Why? No black cars are allowed in the city. And then it clicked. We read online a few days before entering Turkmenistan that black cars weren't allowed, but we thought we had foreign plates, maybe we'd be exempted. And our tour guide never said anything about it when we informed him about our car. Apparently not. We parked the car and hopped into the minibus, on the way to Ashgabat again. The first stop wasn't our hotel, but instead a traditional Turkmenistan restaurant. Our tour guide thought that we would have been hungry since we didn't eat the entire day crossing the border from Iran to Turkmenistan. We sat down, very hungry, and ordered some food. Our tour guide recommended some traditional dishes and drinks. Plov, plov, plov. They really love plov in Central Asia. Tonight we tried some wedding plov, which was actually really good. Trying the food, the majority was 50-50. 50% we liked and 50% wasn't our taste. And for the drinks, we drank some camel milk. Having grown up in the Middle East, camel milk isn't something particularly obscure to me, so we ordered it. I have no idea what they put in the camel milk. It seemed like it was fermented and sparkling, but it was one of the worst drinks I drank in my life, and same for my father, and he loves camel milk.
Now, huppatee. We're in Turkmenistan, Ashgabat, and the first thing we drink here is camel milk. Oh mijn hemel, wat is dat vreselijk. Jeetje. Good luck, you try.
Okay. Cheers.
It's not so bad.
Not so bad, but not for me. Very thick. Yeah. After dinner, it was getting a bit late, but we decided to hit some of the typical tourist sites before checking into our hotel. So first we went to the Ertuğrul Gazi Mosque, of course fully made out of marble and just an amazing sight. Also, funnily enough, when we walked back onto the street to get picked up by our driver in the minibus, we saw only white cars. Later on, we drove to some more sites, but just the incredible feeling of driving down an empty 6-lane highway at around 8 or 9 p.m. at night in Turkmenistan, hardly seeing any pedestrians on the side of the street. It just felt like a completely empty city. We went to some more sites, took some more pictures, and as bonus, we even got to see the giant version of the Ruhnama. Then it was time to check into our hotel. Translated to English, our hotel was called the Happiness Palace. From the outside, it looks amazing. It could be a 7-star hotel. But in our experience, it was more like the Unhappiness Palace. The Wi-Fi was so slow to what we were normally used to that it was actually unusable. And don't even get me started on the connection. We couldn't even get connected from our room. Our room's Wi-Fi didn't work. We had to keep joining and sitting in the lobby. Regardless, nothing loaded since most was blocked anyways, so it was a waste of time. The following morning in the hotel, we had breakfast. I actually didn't mind it that much, but my father wasn't the biggest fan.
The breakfast was inverted. We first got the sweets, and then we got our egg. It was all a bit weird.
The hotel was just mainly outdated. The interior was super outdated. It seemed like it wasn't renovated since the 90s. Our rooms were giant, but also just dirty and not clean. The bathrooms were quite nice. And we thought it was quite surprising that on the inside of our door in our hotel room was an exact accounting and inventory list of everything inside the room. As if we would even want to steal anything from that room.
Our night in the Happiness Palace was not so happy. We slept well actually, but the internet was completely absent. But anyway, on the way to Darwaza, we said we will pass by the carpet museum, which was extremely impressive. It was super nice, with the largest handmade carpet in the world, listed in the Guinness Book of Records. Only now Abu Dhabi has taken over that honor, and you can see it in the Sheikh Zayed Mosque. Turkmenistan has a lot of handicraft, has super nice carpets, handmade carpets, and that was impressive. We saw all the history. Also, we recognized that the very special handmade carpets, the people who unfortunately passed away.
This was a very tragic story indeed. I did question the authenticity a bit when the carpet museum tour guide was telling us, but nevertheless, the story goes. These 3 ladies perfected the art of 3D carpentry. They were the only ladies in Turkmenistan that knew how to make this revolutionary new design. However, tragically, all the women that possessed the knowledge passed away in the huge earthquake that destroyed the city of Ashgabat. 10,000 to over 100,000 people were estimated to have died in that earthquake. However, the carpet remained intact and is now on display in the UNESCO Carpet Museum in Ashgabat. Finally, after being off the grid for a couple days, we asked our tour guide if they knew of a VPN that worked in Turkmenistan. Our previous VPNs loaded from Iran and other countries didn't work. The tour guide didn't know of a VPN they could share, however, they decided to ask around. Later, they came up with the idea of going to an internet cafe. We made our way to a commercial building and entered an office. To our surprise, a super nice internet cafe. We were able to get online for 30 minutes, update our friends and families, and then get moving to the next place. And then we drove around Ashgabat city for a little bit. Of course, the Ministry of Education, shaped like a marble book, the world's largest indoor Ferris wheel, covered fully in marble, and some other sites. And of course, marble buildings everywhere.
Now, getting some food, wanted to go to the Russian Bazaar. The Russian Bazaar is still out of the USSR time, and it was not all clad in marble, but still a very nice traditional market, which we enjoyed a lot. Excellent. On our way to the truck stop to pick up our car, we got a new guide, Durde. Durde was a very nice guy. His name means stop. And that's probably what happens to us all the time, because when we're wandering a bit too far away from him, he said, "Stop, I'm your shadow." With military precision, he explained that I will always be your shadow, guarding our drone with his life and making sure we always had to follow his instructions. Life outside Ashgabat was very different. The roads to Darwaza were absolutely horrible, with potholes everywhere. Since our car had only 2 seats, we needed Durde to have his own driver. A great guy and an expert in flying over potholes with 120 km per hour. His Prado did extremely well, but he almost lost his front bumper. Anyway, the trip to Darwaza took us 7 hours. We were stopping a few times, checking out the environment and checking out some of the gas holes. And it was definitely more than we expected. The 3 hours, which we think they told us it would take us to reach there. Anyway, refueling. Fuel is super cheap in Turkmenistan, so we wanted to fill up our spare jerrycans, since good fuel in Uzbekistan, except in the major cities, is super difficult to find. Not allowed to fill your jerrycans, but after showing them and discussing a lot that our jerrycans were filled with inserted aluminium mesh against explosion, they finally agreed. We saw more camels and goats than cars on the empty roads. Loads of checkpoints, but since we traveled with our shadow, we passed them all in no time. We saw a few craters, not on fire, but gas bubbling away in the atmosphere. Then we saw the orange glow in the distance. We knew we were close, and it took us another 15 minutes from the main road to reach the crater. When we were at the crater, incredible, what a sight. And what an incredible heat and fumes escaping from that crater. They did not let us camp at the crater and warned us of a very dangerous situation that could arise. Duk, 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 duk. Not much afraid, we tried to stay, but finally, after inhaling the sulfur fumes, we decided to move to the yurt. Hey, Jacob, your turn now.
So, the story my father was alluding to was indeed quite strange, and some might say disturbing. We had never heard of it when watching other videos of the Gates of Hell. Firstly, before we even went to the crater, we had dinner near the campsite. Our shadow was spurring my dad on to drink some alcohol. He kept ordering Turkmen local alcohol and beers. We were both laughing. He was super strict, but this seemed relatively relaxed for him, a bit too relaxed. We were both confused. Note this encounter for later. Then we made our way to the crater, and the stories from Durde began. He began with telling me to look at the tip of the flames. Notice how they aren't orange like usual, but they possess a red glow.
Just see it. Just look to just see it on the borders. Do you see
I don't see it getting red.
No. Just see in one point, and don't change your eyes. And one point on those sides.
A little.
A little, thank you. They say it, but you don't want to say it. They want to show you the red lights here. Red lights, just see. It's yellow, remember that. It's yellow, don't red.
Yeah.
Don't red.
Okay.
I couldn't see it, and then he began with, if you really want to see the red flames, go to the gas crater at 3 or 4 a.m. Will you come with us as our shadow, I asked? He exclaimed, absolutely not. I will not go. Let me ask the driver. The driver replied in local language, and the shadow said he will also not step foot near the crater.
And just try it if you don't trust me.
No, I trust you.
You must try it.
I trust you.
I will send my driver with you, and I don't go, okay? I will send the driver with you, and I will not go.
But I want you to come with us.
No, thank you. I have my own children. He don't want to.
Okay.
This piqued our interest. I started to ask some more questions to Durde. He told us that the story is that the local villages have lost children over the years. Since the crater's formation, they've disappeared without a trace. They all believe that around 3 or 4 a.m. every night the gate opens and hell's on the other side, hence the name, the Gate of Hell.
The gate is opening at 3 o'clock, at 4 at the morning.
And you ever see it?
The old man's peoples who live it here, they have lost their children and never find them. That was in the years 1970s after.
Wow.
Young people. Please careful. That can be maybe miracle for you. You listen just, oh, that's Brother Grimm from Germany, but not so.
Little girls will come out of the gate, knock on your yurt, and do not open the door, he repeated multiple times. There are no little girls on the camp, only one in the kitchen, and they will not come to our door. Do not open.
Yeah. If somebody at night will be wake up and tell you, if you want to see the right place, don't come. Why? It can be miracle, but please don't go, okay?
But why?
You must wake me or the other guys. Maybe some beautiful girls or Maryland's.
He then whispered to me, I gave your dad the alcohol at dinner so that he'll sleep deep tonight, not open the door and be curious enough to see the red flames. The shadow was fully convinced that this story was real, or maybe it was all for show, but he even went to the other tourists staying at the camp, educating them on the story and not to open the yurt door in the night. They all just laughed, thinking he was crazy. If there are any Turkmen nationals coincidentally watching this video, maybe you can comment on the validity of the story in the comment section. To be honest, we're not one to believe in paranormal stories, but it was entertaining hearing him tell these stories around the crater, kind of like when you were kids telling horror stories around a campfire. Nevertheless, some history about the crater. The early history of the crater is a bit unknown. One of the more common explanations is that the site was drilled by Soviet engineers in 1971 as an oil field, but collapsed within days, forming the crater, with the engineers choosing to flare the crater to prevent emissions of poisonous gases, but they underestimated the volume of the gas, which is still burning today, over 50 years later. We'll wrap this video up here, and stay tuned for the next one, discovering Konya Genç and crossing into Uzbekistan. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Interested in hearing anything specific? Just comment down below, and I'll get back to you. See you next time.